Welcome to The Leads Are Shit. This is a real estate magazine podcast, and here we have the owner of Real Estate Magazine, Andrew Foliato. He's also the founder of Just Sell Homes. It's a marketing company for real estate agents so that they can just focus on selling homes and their everything that they want to get out and be loud. It still happens while they're selling homes. And that's kind of what I do. In fact, being here as the guinea pig, my name is Taylor. I run the Hack & Co team in Edmonton, Alberta. And I kind of end up with Andrew as like a fractional CMO, provided I'm willing to jump through the hoops like I did this morning with a gentleman named Deneth.
How'd that go?
It went pretty good. We've laid some groundwork there for a widget that we're going to be working with. That's going to tie in some artificial intelligence as an improvement to websites.
Yep.
And we'll recap on some of that stuff as we go. But there's some people here, if you're catching this on YouTube or podcast format, anywhere, know that you could be here. This is a Zoom right now, and we've got Ron from Vancouver. He was the first guy in to shout it out. We always like to know where you're from because real estate's a contact sport that goes coast to coast to coast. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm good, man. It's been a busy week in a good way. So we're catching up. I know for the Deneth call you had this morning, so our goal there, like we want to increase conversions from your website. Like we're getting good, consistent traffic.
So this is something that we covered in a marketing call that wasn't on this podcast.
Yeah.
So we got together and with teammates and basically looked at what our marketing is doing, where it's hitting and where it's missing. Because if you haven't been following along, I made some massive changes going into 2025.
No.
I changed my team format from being a team that was focused on conversion out of web leads to being a team focused on conversion out of listing multiplier and other forms of marketing. And then we also started to make things. So we're driving traffic to my website, and that's where we're learning that we can make some adjustments.
Yeah.
Because Andrew's running formats he's run for a long time, and that means that he has metrics to tell me we're driving to a page, and then some of these pages are not turning over the same way that we would want them to.
Yeah. And so that's one of the tests we're about to try. So if you guys were, I know some of you were on it because I recognize the names. We did a webinar with a company that had like a very high-end chatbot, essentially, that sits on a website, helps convert people, does some cool stuff. And we're going to throw it on Taylor's website, and we're going to run it as a test, and then we'll report back to see if it works. Because basically,
so the way that this looked for me is I ended up putting some code on my website, and now what I've got to do is I've got to help them game out the conversation formats.
Yeah.
Now, this is really key because if you're talking to software developers, a lot of them know how to make stuff, but not what you do. And like, could you imagine if you had a like a chatbot on your website that led with price? So what's your budget? Is like opening question.
Yeah.
Like the
all your personal details
would be very different from even just choosing a different question. Like what area are you looking in? Location is such an easier run, right?
Yeah.
And then imagine with artificial intelligence, you could make it so customized to where you're at that it could say, oh, you know what? There's some new listings over in, Sherwood Heights today. Is that an area that you're interested in? So then somebody can correct it. And these are different methods that you can sharpen these things to make them more conversational, really.
Yeah. And because at the end of the day, for everything we're doing, it's more leads that are qualified. That's all we're trying to get through. More leads and then qualify them. But yeah, it's a process of figuring out. So like I actually had a call this morning with some people, and we were there at one of my funny questions when I'm running ads for people was like, oh, how many leads can I expect a month? And I was like, it really depends on the strategy you want to run. Like if you want 200 leads a month, okay, 200 leads in a month, but doesn't mean there are going to be ones that fit into your business model that you're going to be able to follow up with. Whereas I had a client one time, he's like, I want volume. And he was like pro at converting leads. We got him 120 leads in 3 days. He had to turn off all the ads because it broke his systems, like the follow-up systems he had. All right, it was just too much. So then we scaled it down to like maybe 3 or 4 a day.
Man, that's like a pretty bold statement from somebody who's like a conversion pro, because a lot of people, what you really want is needles, and they say that they're
Yeah.
in these haystacks. And most of the
So
lead generation companies just want to sell you larger haystacks. And
yeah.
then they say, yeah, and your whole company's job is to sort for needles.
Yeah. So the interesting thing with him is he was of
Mm.
those 120 and he turned it off is because he knew it broke his system. He's like, I needed time to put that volume of leads through our system. Converted six of them.
6 out of 120?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, especially if it was quick, right? Like if it
Yeah,
were an
like
18 month
three
period,
days.
it'd be different. But three
Yeah,
days, 6 out of 120.
yeah, he's got it down.
However, for those people who don't know web leads, when we say that this person was an expert and able to do that, that meant that he had to have initial contact with all 120
Yep,
and then do a failure rate. So let's say that 50% don't reply. Now he's working 60, and he's probably got to work the six that actually turn into something, like maybe through like 15 turns. And everyone,
yeah,
all the other ones drop off over those turns.
yeah. Like to put it another way, is like to fully maximize, right? Like a lot of those leads are probably gonna have to be called eight, nine times to have a conversation,
In
and
the
that's
first
what
24
we
hours to be
mean by
effective.
like his systems broke is they didn't have enough people and resources to call the leads the number of times they needed to hit the conversion numbers they want. So they actually do purposely slow down the lead flow coming in, but that allowed us to now tweak things on the ad side to hopefully make the leads that are coming in higher quality. Because
Hmm.
and we've talked about this before on the show, like if you ever want to increase the quality of a lead, you make it harder to become a lead. And
And
the
that's where we're seeing the value in a chatbot,
yeah,
because what you're actually looking for is intention. A lot
yeah,
of the time, you can get more about timeline than a menu can give as 0 to 3 months or so on. With the chatbot, it can be more conversational. So it could be on the break in the school year, which normally isn't one of those menu questions.
yeah. And
So,
there's some cool stuff. Like, and like, if you don't want to get into the chatbot and all that, like, I know a lot of people here probably use it because it's the most popular CRM. Follow a boss is like the amount of times we've done set up with people where it's like just have that initial email that goes out that gets them to reply to it, right? Like, just send out a very simple email that gets a reply.
yeah, so this is
And
something that was
yeah,
most of my attention for a long time.
yeah,
And the way that we looked at it was you would call and you're trying to get that call as close to lead contact as possible,
yeah,
right? And then if they don't answer, you start using tactics, because what you know is if somebody's wandering around on the internet giving their actual information, that there's another agent that's going to work with them pretty quick, right?
yeah,
Like you're in a race already. So that's why they're so aggressive with the calls. Some people are like, "Man, won't those people be bothered?" And it's like they're not even going to notice which one of the seven people chasing them are you.
yeah.
But as soon as you get past that first phone call, most of the other agents are gone. There's only a
Oh, yeah,
few that will follow up after that. And then what we would go to is using tactics like calling 6 minutes later from the same phone call after not leaving a voicemail.
yeah.
That's like that double tap move gets a lot of people's attention, and it makes it me feel more human. We also used to do things like sending emails that said sent from an iPhone at the bottom because it would look more personal. We really honed this. And when we sent out that first email, what we were trying to accomplish is to determine whether or not we were in a two-way conversation, a one-way conversation, or we weren't in a conversation.
Yeah.
And a two-way conversation is if they were to reply. And a one-way conversation is that we gave them something to click that a robot can't do, or at this point, we haven't seen it, where they would open the link and we would make sure that that was something that was to a property or something, because then we would see that link click and that meant that it was a one-way conversation. They're not talking to
Robots do
us
that
yet,
now.
but we should keep going. And that's changing, right?
So now the way to track this, so because a lot of like email security stuff auto click every link,
Hmm.
what a lot of marketers have started doing on the more sophisticated email side of things is they essentially hide a link somewhere. Because like the robot, that bot that does it, just goes and clicks everything because it doesn't matter. Like, but what someone will do is they'll put like white text on a white background with a clickable link, so no one knows it's there except for a robot. And so then they
Mm.
know the amount of times that's been clicked, that's how many to take out of the report because
Right,
their
because
tool
those are
clicked
the false
everything.
positives.
Yeah, so you have to take those out and then you see how many clicks you have. And
Hmm.
that's so like I have done that with Rem a few times just to see. And like on our list of like 25,000, I mean maybe 50. So it's not like it's
And
a crazy amount right now.
so now you
But
get a real glimpse into the cat and mouse game that this
yeah,
is that there will be better email defense because everybody wants to buy and nobody wants to get sold.
yeah,
And then they will make a better capture technique and then it'll piggyback over and over.
yeah, exactly. So
So
there's
last
lots of fun.
last week we were talking about the phases of a listing and circle prospecting around that. And we were getting to the point where we talked about things like when a listing goes pending.
Yeah,
And now we're getting to the end of a listing. So when it is a successful listing, it goes from pending to sold.
yep.
So in that case, what is normal? Like, I really think that normal is the vanity post on Facebook.
And yeah, it's basically look how awesome I am and look how good a job I did. It's the most common.
Sold.
Yeah. And if they're fancy, it might be a photo of them with the sold sign. Others, it might be literally just a Canva graphic that says sold on top of the listing photo,
I
right?
wish
Other
other people in business did this,
be amazing.
right? Like maybe it would be like a mechanic. Put the
Yeah.
tires on.
Yeah.
And
The
everybody would be
funniest
like,
would
aren't you
be
supposed to do this?
vasectomy. She's like, no context because she's not in the call, just here's my side of the conversation. It's like, what is going
Yeah,
on?
you're having a winning role here.
Yeah, we're having a good one today. But that'd be amazing. It was just
Yep.
um
But
but
that's
like
like, so when you think about how ridiculous that is, that's what we're trying to draw your attention to is if you just
yeah,
post it sold with a picture of the property, a lot of people won't even associate you with that.
yeah.
So now we
And
go a step further because Instagram and other social media, they love your face and whatever you're doing. So real estate over your shoulder, it works really great. Now at least you are associated with that sale.
yeah.
But
And
where do we go from there where it's really effective?
I like a line I got from my uncle one time of if you're not in it, like this is related to taking pictures when you're like out at a tourist spot, so you're on vacation, and we were taking a photo of like a nice view, and he's like, "Get in the photo." And we're like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, if you're not in the photo, then just go get a postcard from a professional photographer because that's going to be better quality. Like, if you're taking the photo, get in the effing photo." And it's like, yeah, it's like the same with social. Like, get in it or hire a videographer to come do it better than you. Um, because like you want to be in it, you want like I would rather lower quality production with your face in it and you talking in it. Um, and talking about the process and talking about the sale and offering context. Now you don't have to, right? Like there's a couple approaches to just solds I like that I've seen that are also very different. And I can get into like the nuance of the different things, but like if it was me, I would essentially be doing case study marketing of every sold, where we're talking about how they got the results, what happened with it, kind of again taking people on that journey. But I've also seen some um like where they it's like a tradition where they bring the seller out with a bottle of champagne and let them shake it up like they just won an F1 race and like do the big celebratory thing. And that's like a fun thing that makes you seem like the fun realtor. And like from a relatability standpoint, there's something there. And that has value. One of my favorite examples, they don't do it anymore, but this is back like 10 years ago. It was a team that had this like white chaise lounger thing, and every seller when they sold they'd bring that to their lawn and they'd take a photo with it, and it went viral because one guy stripped all his clothes off and put the sold rider in front and laid on it like that. Then they got a whole like that went viral. Like it's again, it showed their personality and like their clients liked them. There was that rapport. There was that like there's a relationship here past what is just the sale. And that's one part of effective sold marketing is like showing the relationship and trust you've built and that clearly they're happy with the response. Um, and that is easier to do for a lot of people than like a full case study, right? Like so when you're thinking about it too, you also got to look at time and resources. So it's
Yeah, because I'm just trying to document this out in the background. I think this is a
yeah,
good idea. And
yeah,
here's where I'm at, where I'm like, okay, I got to make a template. And really, if I was doing the listing timeline, like how detailed do I get? Do I do a video before I go and meet them?
yeah,
Then after I go and meet them the first time? Then once they decide to list the property, do another video, then do one on what the strategy is and what our expectations are before everything starts. And then maybe something along the lines of progress, like, hey, it's the day before listing launch day. This is what's happened. This is what's upcoming. It is listing launch day. This is what's happened. This is what's coming. The day after, talking about how it's going.
yeah. Like I would like again, if we're talking, here's an ideal scenario, and we've talked about this on the show before.
Mm-hmm.
You would start before the listing presentation,
Mm-hmm.
documenting the sold process. Like in an ideal, everything's perfect. I have all the resources I need and planning and forethought. From the basically the moment you get a call, you're documenting the process. So like maybe you're doing a little man on the street style interview with yourself before you go to the listing presentation. Like we just got these clients, they reached out to us, we're gonna go talk to them and see what it is. Then you come back and then you kind of update it and you sign the listing, you document you getting it ready for sale and what came up during that, the good and the bad, like what hiccups might have come up, how you solved them, and you document the whole thing until it's sold. And then you turn it into like a mini documentary. And again, that is an ideal world, but that takes planning, time, investment, editor. Like that is legitimately a big output of effort. I think it's worth it, but it's not something that you today you get a listing, you could be like, I'm just gonna go wing that and do it and have it work really well. Like you do want to properly like storyboard that out essentially and f build it out. Like I would aim, like if everyone here was thinking of this idea, I would set a very reasonable goal of two of those videos next year, right? Like you do the first one where you know you're gonna mess it up, and then the second one will go a lot smoother. Then you do your post analysis with everyone involved. Okay, for the third, how can we really tighten this up and make this perfect? Right? But you just bang out a couple. Like try and plan out everything, but things like this is the first time we did print. The amount of things that came up where we were like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that. Oh, we figured that out, right? Like it was a lot of just, and then we have another one in a couple of weeks being printed out. And by we, I mean my wife did 90% of it. She's awesome. She's not at all right there making sure I say this or anything like that. The lovely, lovely Amanda. But the second one we did took us half the time of the first one. And then now when we're looking at the third, the production and everything involved in that is going to be even less than that. And it's the same thing with these videos, right? Like the first couple, it's going to be probably like pulling teeth.
Am I the only one who does dry runs? Like I literally will just like shoot all this stuff and not distribute any of it just to get the feel of it the one time.
Yeah,
And then I'll watch it back and I'll be like, oh, okay, I've got some notes for me next time. And then the second time through, I might have a rough enough copy that I'll be
yeah,
like, okay, I'm just gonna set this up as a reel
yeah,
and do like clips into this. I'm not gonna actually make this into a case study this time. And then
yeah,
like the third time, I'll have the angles I want and the moments like, hey, I'm about to go into the market evaluation. Here's what I know about this property. Here's how I think it's going to go. And then snap, I'm in my car again. I just got out of
yeah,
that market evaluation. And you know what? Surprised me every time. So I thought it was going to be like this. It's actually like that. Here's what we're
yeah,
thinking about this. And I'm going to find out whether or not I'm the listing agent probably in the next couple of days. And then
yeah,
it's video of me in my office. And it's like, okay,
yeah,
we just found out that we won the market evaluate or we won the listing competition. There was two other agents and they decided to go with us, and this is why they told us
yeah,
they did.
yeah. And I mean, this would be a bolder move, but there is an argument for eventually releasing one of those that you lost.
Agreed.
That'd be amazing. Actually, you know what the best would be? Saving that. It goes up with someone else and comes back to you as the second agent.
But that's the reason to get
Yeah.
into the process of
Yeah.
doing this. And I'm practiced enough at video that I think these examples I just gave, which don't involve B-roll and they don't show the clients, and I know that there are
Yeah.
going to be other marks to hit.
Yeah. Now,
But the idea
even,
is start somewhere.
and if again, we're going ideal world, the clients are interviewed during the process.
Hmm.
They're involved. And like, I think there's enough value to this, to at least having a handful of these, that I would even be willing to pay the sellers, whether it's me writing a check to them or taking something off the commission, whatever that looks like. I would probably write them a check and keep it separate as like a marketing expense where they give me the rights to their likeness for marketing, like do it separate or something. But that's how much I value having these and like assets available to you, is it's worth doing that. Like
Hmm.
for example, like for a couple of gigs, I was at an event with Phil Jones for speakers, and he was like, Andrew, I looked at all your stuff online. The biggest issue, you don't have enough photos and videos of you speaking. Because
Mm.
most of my events I didn't have that. So the next like three events I did, I was like, all right, part of my fee instead of cash is the cash output instead of get the videographer in, get the photos, get all that taken. And that's part of my comp instead of like the money, right? Then that has value to me, right? So it's like, what does that look like? How can we leverage it? And like that was actually one that I love, that his advice was have a list of things that are worth it to you that aren't always money that you can sub in. Because there's always things that are going to be worth it for you. And like having them on camera and answering questions and involved the entire way through has a lot of value. And because then you can take that and you can promote that forever.
Hmm.
And so it's like, what is the right, no, what the right answer version of that to every person is going to be different. Um, but like having a handful of these that you can point people to, my goal with case study marketing would be that any demographic that reaches out or type of home, you have some version of a case study to give them. So if it is a century home, new build, condo, standard suburban home, a home with a pool, you have case studies for that. You also have case studies for first-time buyers, for seniors downsizing, families upsizing. You have all those. So if that group reaches out, and some of these can overlap because it could be like, first time upsizing, that family could also be your townhome case study.
Mm.
And you can do it as great. You have a townhome. By the way, if you want, it's like your pre-list package. Like, here is a video of me selling a home just like yours.
Hmm.
And you have that available to send to them. If you're not comfortable on video, the next step down from that is a written version of it. And the written version, the nice thing about that is you can make your life a lot easier doing it with ChatGPT. But the key here is the 10-80-10, which is you have to feed it all the context. So that first 10% of the work is you feeding ChatGPT, whatever tool you're using, all the context of the sale.
Hmm.
Everything from like each step of what happened, the stats that came out of it, how you want the reader to feel, who the intended audience of this case study is. Like you want all that details in there. Let it write it, and then you come back and now edit it and do the last 10%. So 10-80-10 is literally like you do the first 10% of context, it writes the bulk of 80% of the writing, and then you're the last 10% polish on it again.
Okay,
Um,
I'll show you where we're like some of our organization related to. Oh, just one second. I want to make sure I've hidden the right fields here so that I keep
yeah,
everything that should be confidential, confidential.
good idea.
All right. So now I'm going to hit my share button. And what you can see is us organizing where we were. So we got neighborhood over on the left here,
Yeah,
and what type of listing that we did, because this year our market was spicy. So we were doing a listing launch. In one case, we were saying, oh, this is an example of something tenant occupied. In this
yeah,
example, it's luxury. And then we talk about type where they bought before they sold. We have
yeah,
a whole series of estates. So
yeah.
once I'm done these case studies, is this interesting enough to send to every estate lawyer in my market? and say, hey, this is how we handle estates. Here's a few case studies. If you feel as though communication is lacking or anything else in your current relationships, hit us up.
No. Yep. Love it.
Yeah, so then we also have ones where people bought and sold, and then we also have ones that are specific around buying.
Yeah. And it's like, by the way, if you're open to it, we should create a templated version of that. And if people want it, give it to them.
Oh, like how to organize it?
Yep.
Let's wait until I get my case studies done, and then we could release it as a guide. And we
Yeah.
could say that this is like how to organize your experiences for different subjects.
Yep.
So you have an index, and then here's a template because we will be using the story brand approach to this,
Yeah.
where we position the sellers and buyers as the hero of the story, and we are guides for them.
Yeah. And like to kind of do, if you're not familiar with Storybrain, Donna Miller, it's worth getting the book, audiobook, or read it the regular way. To oversimplify the process, it's basically you're painting the picture at the beginning of where they are, where they were before working with you. You're showing them where they ended up, and then you're the guide that got them from A to B. Right? So like the nerdy version of this is like they're Luke Skywalker. They met Obi-Wan and Yoda, who showed them the way to win. Right?
Yep.
Like it's just bringing them along the process. So like you're Gandalf, you're Yoda. Um, I could get even nerdier than that if we start want to throw in more nerdy examples, but get the point.
I'll show you a little bit
Yeah,
of our development on the
yeah,
case studies as well. So what we were looking for is in our planning because we spend more time on this than many people do because we just find if we measure twice and cut once, it goes better.
yeah,
So at first we decided to say like, okay, what do sellers need to get out of a case study? So they normally are, can this agent give me results?
yeah,
Have they helped someone like me before? This is what Andrew was talking about. Do you know all dogs are 99.9% genetically identical to the wolf, but still you can go to a dog food store and they claim to have a specific diet for a specific breed of dog?
yep,
That's what they're talking about is that that stuff sells.
yeah. And it's just a different skin essentially.
Yeah. And so in some cases, it's like fast timeline, low hassle. These are all things that your sellers would characterize as results. Have they helped someone like me before? Which means is like, is this going to work? Is what they're thinking about. What's the process like? Does this person have a clear plan? Do they have? Are they strategic? Is there going to be smooth execution? Can I trust them?
Yeah,
And then we basically got into our research and then talked about case study types and then breaking into our guides. So we
yeah,
want to use the format process. So format is why, what, how, now. This is a great way to market because it communicates to people almost like they're in kindergarten, which is the speed that they can go at with stuff like this.
yep,
So we talk about why this matters right now. So other sellers might be leaving money on the table. Why the results? We got great results, and why they mattered is because this family they went to Disney on the extra money, right?
yeah. Your favorite.
Behind the scenes story, and then what it means for you and your next steps is basically where it goes. So people read this and then call us is kind of the idea. And then we worked one out, and we were talking about catchy titles, 57 offers and a three-legged cat. Do you think that would fly?
It could work. The three-legged cat
Uh,
makes me interested.
yeah. So then we talk about the why this matters because selling is stressful and buying before you sell or selling before you buy. And then
Yeah,
talking to people about what our launch process did and why these people were apprehensive about how we set it up. But then when they saw the results, it was incredible.
yeah. I like it.
Cool.
So, and again, that is like you're getting into the very part plan. Like for a lot of people, if you just want to start, just tell ChatGPT to write a story-based case study. Here's all the facts of the sale, and there's your first draft done as a blog post.
Yeah, you can even
Take it.
ask ChatGPT to ask you the questions that will turn into a great case study.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's, and then yes, in an ideal world, there's video, there's audio, there's every format imaginable, and you've created this unbelievably in-depth piece of content that can be repurposed across every platform. That is your pie in the sky, like what you want to get to eventually. The MVP of this is, I mean, the MVP is an Instagram post with a nice caption. And then it's like it's a blog post, then a shorter video, then a YouTube video, and then like
Totally.
a
Because
fully
once you have
produced.
this case study, if you write it well, you don't need to put dates on there,
Yeah.
right? So then you can renew it. You can use it when it fits the market. Just be careful you're not using ones that don't fit the current market.
Yeah.
Because if
And
you're trying to tell
then,
somebody you got 57 offers and they're like, man, you would have had to have like 100 grand in a duffel bag in the basement for that to happen.
yeah. One thing to always keep in mind when you're doing case studies too is get the seller's permission before, and then have show it to them before it goes live and ask their permission again.
It depends on how you're
Yeah.
going to use them.
Yeah.
So if you're using them as part of your market evaluation and only releasing the ones that are relevant to that specific seller,
Yeah. Then you have more
provided you're not
flexibility.
using identifiers like names and addresses,
Yeah.
you're pretty
So
good to
here's
go
one
because you tell those
thing,
stories now already. You're just not
and
doing them as well.
one you can do here, and you have to like put a disclaimer essentially, is like some names prices have been adjusted for privacy, but the core of this is accurate.
Mhm.
And then like if they ask you about it, be like, no, I can privately show you which house it was, like when we're meeting. It's just for seller privacy reasons and different things like that. We don't put it exactly in. But like the core, as long as you're not changing or like lying about like the core of what happened and the core of the results. Like I did this with one, and I the hard way of I put the real info. I didn't put the address, but I put the real price changes. The seller found out, and because it wasn't my listing, it was when I was young and dumb. I was at an agent. I was at an agent open house, and the one of the agents of the table had just been fired, and they were like telling the inside story of the whole sale, and like basically blamed the seller's greed on and not selling because like basically had this home was listed at like 750, and they got an offer at 740 on day two, and the agent was like, "You got to take this." They're like, "No, no, you never take the first offer. We can get more." Two agents later, it sold for 625 after 4 months. Or no, it was like 6.5 months. Like that was a big shift because like after that first offer went away, no other offers came.
You never take the first offer.
Yeah.
Does that
And
mean that you never take the first offer from one buyer? You always counter to see if you can get more? Does it mean that you never take the first offer ever? Because in that case, most real estate would never be sold because most real
yeah,
estate only does get one offer.
yeah,
This is a pretty weird adage. And a lot of
yeah,
people don't even know the whole thing. Like,
yeah,
have you ever heard that phrase, the, oh, the jack of all trades is the master of none?
yeah.
Do you know what the whole one is?
I remember you telling me the whole one. I don't
Yeah,
remember it
it's
now.
backwards. They say
Yeah,
the jack of all trades is a master of none, like jack of all trades is not as good. But
yeah.
it's the jack of all trades is the master of none, but always better than the master of one.
Have you heard the term T-shaped marketer?
Hmm.
That's my so this is like what well, because like a T-shape is like you're really good at one thing, but you still have knowledge across all this, right? Like you gotta even if you have a really good specialty, like for me, like for a long time, my T-shape was Facebook ads, all marketing, right?
Mm.
Like it was, I knew all the pieces I needed, but I was also really, really good at Facebook ads,
Mm.
right? So like my T-shaped was that Facebook ads for real estate. Um, but yeah, so back to the seller, like I did a blog post. I was like, "How greed can cost you $100,000" was the title. And I didn't put in the address. I just said a home in Aurora that's sold in the last 12 months. Here's a story of why you essentially should consider sometimes the first offer. And I kind of told the story very high level of like, here's the offer that came in, turned it down, thought they could get more, then they reduced a month later for this much, and then a month later, then they switched agents and reduced this, and they eventually sold for this. You want to know who the first person to read that blog post was?
Oh, it was a
This
seller?
they I don't know if they're actually the first, but like within 24 hours of it going up, and again, I haven't put the address. All I said was home in Aurora and the price changes. And within 24 hours, I had a phone call from the homeowner threatening to take me to Rico.
Wow.
And it wasn't even my list, like they didn't even know me. But I was so excited because coincidentally, when I was blogging, the first phone call a blog post generated for me. And the way they started the phone call, I thought they were like going to be a listing appointment. And boy, did they switch that up on me. And I was like, ooh. So I had to like call the listing agent that had told me the story to give them a heads up about what was happening. But and so I took the post down and then just changed all the sevens to an eight and put it back up.
Hilarious.
Yeah, but it's like you're saying, you wanna remove identifying information, but then I changed the blog post to for privacy. Some of the details have been slightly changed, but the core of the story is the same.
I'm going to put a version that looks like a classified document done in old school type format, and I'm actually going to redact the parts.
Yeah, that
No,
works too.
no, I'm
I
not.
would do it.
You
Just do
need to
it, buddy.
change them
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
that
that
people
but you
have the
gotta say
reference
you did.
points, because otherwise
Yeah.
you're kind of hiding the good stuff.
Yeah, but you have to disclose that you're making that change, right? Because otherwise it's just a made up story. But yeah, like it's you got to really make sure because like one case study can really move the needle, but
Hmm.
that can also cost you referral or a repeat client down the road, and you want to protect against that. So I always say like ask their permission, and if they push back, be like, and I can change any identifying information. They might not know it's you, and like also use your judgment how you word it. Like, listen, if like I'm moving, my family just wants a bigger house, you can talk about that. Someone's going through a nasty divorce, you're not going to be like, so they came to me because John was cheating on Sarah, and they now are splitting up, and it's pretty nasty, but they can't might need to get
It'll
a new
be viral,
house.
man.
Oh,
Just
like
do it. Just go.
great
I'm just
content
kidding.
for you. Do you know who's never going to talk to you again?
Yeah, yeah.
John and
You're gonna end
Sarah.
up courtside, but it's not gonna be for
Yeah.
NBA.
Yeah. But like again, use your judgment. But like there's always gonna be a client willing to do that, right? Like you have people who are
Yeah,
so
so
happy
let's
with you.
unpack this a little bit. So, if you were to make a case study, you got to remember that you don't have to use it directly. It can be something that you use for a thought exercise.
No.
So, by going through all of the parts of it, like before you went and met them the first time, and then right after you met them, and then as it progressed, you're going to jog your own memory. And you're going to be like, oh man, how many times have I met people like this before? Where
Yeah.
they were a young couple, they were selling for the first time. Nobody talks to those people. We talk to first time homebuyers as a collective community all the time, and we prepare first time sellers really not at all.
Yeah.
And so getting into that, you'll realize these things and you'll be like, oh man, I think I need to talk to first time sellers more often. And the things that they don't know is this, and they don't know that most people have to sell before they buy. So they don't have any of these baselines.
Yeah.
And now
And
you have bite sized things to do for social media.
and when they reach out, you can be like, hey, you've never gone through this process. Here's a 15-minute video that is like someone in your position that went through the exact same thing. It might be
Mm.
worth just so you can kind of get yourself an idea of how this process is going to go.
Hmm.
Right? Like just a super simple, here's the process, here's what we're doing, let's walk through it together. And they also get to see like what you're like in professional mode before you've even gone there. Like these things sell so far ahead of you
And
that
why video matters is that they need to know, like, and trust you,
no,
and hearing you talk and realizing you're not going to bore the F out of them.
no.
This is part of that.
And especially because like if you start
Mm.
becoming like a neighborhood expert, there's not a it's a non-zero chance that they're going to recognize their neighbors in the case study, right? Like
Mm.
there's that extra power there of if this is someone they recognize, then it's really gonna sell. Because now they also know for sure that's not an actor. They can pick up the phone, they can call them. Like there's all these pieces that start coming together that the more of these you have, you're increasing the chances of these are people that are being recognized locally. Like I was actually just
Yeah,
pulling the data, right? Like names and faces. This is where, like I was talking before, like if you can get the sellers in it, it's so much more powerful than you being in it.
totally.
And
And if
that's
you
what
were
you're
hunting for deer and you met somebody who had a whole bunch of like deer trophies, You'd be like,
Yeah.
"You're a deer hunter."
Yeah.
And the same thing, case studies are they're evidence of your success. They're evidence
Yeah.
of where you've helped people like them, and that puts their peace of mind. It helps you get over that credibility part. No like
Yeah.
and trust. This is evidence that other people have trusted you and it worked out.
Yeah. You can also like add in tension into the video, right? Of like, let's say the home was conditional on an inspection. You could be like, and then the inspection happened and the buyers came back to us. They found mold. And then it cuts to the home inspector talking about it, right? Like you could have him be like, okay, so yeah, no, we found mold here. And then it's like, is this is what I have to be able to read it. Then it cuts to like you be like, and here's how we handled this as the agent representing the seller. We did this. Here's the outcome. Bam. They're good. Right? Like, don't shy away from the problems that come up. Lean into how you, as the guide, solved it.
And I'm gonna make this
Yeah.
look like the personal room in like the Big Brother style reality shows where you're looking at the camera with like a box of Kleenex and you're like, yeah, and then the inspection came back.
Yeah, it was terrible. Um, and this is part of the great thing. Like, if you can get video of like their actual reaction when they find out the home sold, great.
Hmm.
Like, great. Like, the more type of things you can get like that, and then do the champagne shake at the sign. Um, that makes a
Yeah, and you
great
can decide
clip.
what parts that you want to draw attention to that are like part of your brand.
Yeah.
And then you can basically build up to those and kind of assign meaning to it and help more people recognize what's going to happen in advance. Because the idea is to do awesome things and then tell people about them and say, hey, if you like that, you should come here.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, like that's the most because and if you're not willing to do the case study, there's also other things you should look at instead of just, hey, I sold this for 100% of asking in 3 days or 50,000 over asking. Think about it like this. Like, go to a Reddit forum, which is a great place to see how people feel about certain marketing tactics at times. And and this is not always true. Sometimes it is, but most of the time it's not even true. The consumer's belief is that when you advertise sold over asking, is not that you did a good job. Their belief is you underpriced it purposely so that you can say sold over asking. So there's a simple language switch that we'll do sometimes, which is just sold for this much more than the seller thought they were going to get. Because that reframes it. Because like a lot of times, like the seller thought they were going to get this and they sold for this price. If you say sold over asking, they're assuming that's actually the price they wanted all along. You say it sold for more than they thought they would get. Now it's like you've exceeded expectations. And that little switch
Talk about
in
moments to
language.
capture. So imagine that you just told somebody they're out of the woods, the property's sold, nothing is going to change now.
Yeah.
And then you were to position that and say, so how much did you actually think you're going to sell for? Do this if you would like to get your feelings hurt. Because
Yeah.
I have done that. And almost everybody says, yeah, right around here, this seems like a fair deal.
Now, if you're not finding that the number they thought they were going to get and that's the point you find that number out, that's also a little bit on you. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah. But
should
what I'm
know that
saying is
before.
like normally you reveal that, but they don't actually say it directly because they're
Yeah.
defensive.
Yeah.
Like most sellers
So,
won't talk to you about the lowest price they would actually take on the way in. Not the lowest
yeah.
price they will actually take. They might
Yeah.
talk to you about where they want or what they wouldn't accept.
Yeah. And yeah, like you always want to have I guess many of these conversations like doesn't mean you have to use the footage, right? Like this is the beauty of this being your marketing.
Yeah, but
Is
imagine if you do all these
yeah.
things and it's kind of a good storyline, there's a couple twists and turns, and then you hit it. That's going to
Yeah.
be your favorite video your entire real estate career.
Oh yeah. And you are going to pimp that out until like you basically show that video until the point where if someone sees you in it and they're like, how long ago was that taken? Right? Like that's how long you want that video to have legs. Like one good video can last you 4, 5, 6 years at least.
Hmm.
Depends on how quickly you age. But, right? Like that's the big
Based on
thing.
feedback, people, I'm currently rocking a picture. that
Yeah.
I had taken in 2000 and maybe 18. And
Yeah.
people meet me and tell me I look younger than my photo.
So
And
I
so I
don't.
am
Yeah.
Benjamin Button, or I'm doing it wrong. I don't know. I started off mid and it kind of got a little better. Who knows?
Mine are, it's just pre-beard versus beard.
Oh, yeah,
Typically.
yeah.
That's the difference. Or pre-weight gain.
There you go. See, I'm on
About
the
the
other
age.
side of that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking my weight.
Yeah. You're welcome.
I don't think you took all of it, but
It's all about balance in life. One goes up, one goes down.
so basically I wish more people would stop giving away the moment where they just sold a house.
Yeah.
I wish they knew what it would take to get people to call them. Hey, this property is sold. Sorry you missed it. If you would
Yeah.
like more information, you can click here or call me. You can even say, we won't
And
have the case study done for a couple of weeks, but do you want it? Like, do
yeah.
you want updates?
Yeah.
And
And
then go ahead.
I was just say for the like the moment, by the way, like that doesn't have to be in person. It can be I'm putting my sellers on speaker and recording that of me telling them on speakerphone. And you're
Mhm.
getting their audio reaction of it. Again, you might not use it. Again, you want to get their permission so they know what's coming. Maybe that is, hey, sometimes just for our marketing, we might record one or two of our phone calls, but I'll always ask your permission before releasing that recording, right? Like doing stuff like that. Um, but like having even that moment of like you with like the phone right here, talking into it on speaker with a camera. Yes, it's better to do that in person, but that's not always feasible for getting the shot. Show the real version of it, of you telling them on the phone, and their excitement over the phone can come through. And if they're not excited and it's a crappy reaction, great. That doesn't make the cut.
So that would be like where you want to kind of position it, is to determine what you're going to release in advance. And, you can be looking forward into 2026 and you can say, okay, every time I sell a house this year, I normally do this and I'm going to change it. So I'm not just making a vanity post. And that might be the only thing. Or you could be like, okay, I'm going to change it and I'm going to test. I'm going to make 10 things that I'm going to test to see what results in the highest amount of contact from me.
Yeah.
What we've told you previously is during the whole time of your listing, you should be finding the ways to say online and offline, do you want updates? So at the point where you actually have a property sold, you should have a call list. And then that call list is a breakdown, because this is another moment that people give away. And this is on the sales side. So giving people a call when you talk to them about what just happened, let's say that you had a spicy listing and did get multiple offers. Keep in mind that a percentage of those people that are looking for updates are going to be buyers. And you just say, I'm an awesome listing agent. Look how well I did. Best listing agent ever. You are
Yeah.
detached from them, right? That actually might cause them anxiety. On the other side is that if you're talking to sellers, they probably aren't going to resonate with that as well, because that's like a lot about you. But instead, to talk to them about how like the house was really great and what we did was show it off. Like we were the guide. We just made sure that they didn't make any mistakes and that the house got its true value. Those types of things tend to resonate with sellers because they already think their house is awesome. And I think we can all agree that every house has a value and it's up to us not to lose any of it.
Yeah.
So now you're going to get on these calls and you either need to identify whether or not these people are buyers or sellers by using litmus tests. And you could use an assumptive call. And you could be like, "Hey Andrew, I remember meeting you at the open house over there in Forest Lawn, and you mentioned that you were interested in updates on that property that we had on Flint. Uh, did you end up buying something?" So making that assumptive statement leaves Andrew in a position where he's got to respond to me. And people love to correct you. Be
Oh yeah.
wrong. Be intentionally wrong. And they'll be like, "Oh, no, 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 we weren't buying anything. We actually live near there."
Yeah. But you should also find this out, like you can easily ask it when they're signing up for updates. Like let's say you're signing up through an open house. Be like, do you want updates on the property? Yes. All right, give me your name, give me your email, give me your phone number. And then add in are you interested in these updates because you are A, looking to buy this property, B, want to know how it impacts the price of your home, or C, both.
Mhm.
right?
And
And then
everybody's
like,
going to use their abilities different. Andrew's a marketer, so he's like, let's get
yeah,
this taken care of on the form.
yeah,
Sometimes form questions are risk. The more questions you ask, the dropout rate is higher. People get disrupted and so on. So I might be like, well, you know what? I'm going to talk to all these people on the phone anyway. I can just figure it out on the phone. I'm going to use it with a script. And that's why we like to talk to each other because Andrew's going to do this from the marketing perspective and I can do this from the sales
yeah.
perspective.
And then it's numbers, which
Yeah.
resulted in higher closes.
And we just kind of
But
work it down from there. So I've got all these people that got updates, but I want to make sure that I'm giving them updates that are fit for them.
yeah,
If you're a buyer, let's talk about things about like, or maybe let's just say, not every agent's like me. Most of the listings that we approach aren't going to be this spicy,
yeah,
right? But now let's highlight that against other markets. So you just sold a place in a market where only 1 out of 5 properties sell, and the other ones go expired or terminated. How is this different?
I'm curious, what do you do now for that?
Well, right now, what we would do is talk about the fact that we were able to get a successful sale and highlight against that. So instead
Yeah,
of talking about like sold for this percentage of list price,
yeah,
which is not something that you normally want to draw attention to in a down market because you may have had to make some compromises,
yeah,
right? Nobody wants to see sold after the 27th price change. But the truth is that most agents couldn't have closed that many price changes, and you did, and we know you did a good job.
yeah,
But on the other side is who do you want to talk to? So prospective sellers, like who I want to talk to in that market is everybody who didn't sell.
yeah,
So I'm specifically saying we got the job done and we did it because we got more interest, more showings, more offers, better results, like
yeah.
just more, better. Yes.
Which is a super easy post, right, for social hook of like how we got this new market home sold when nothing else was selling on the market.
Oh, I love how you put it.
Right? Like it's this easy, like, and it's you can do the same for new price points. Like if you set a record, it's the same idea of like you're implying from the hook that they can get insider info on how they can get the same result.
Yes.
And it's and then you're basically just like the case study in a perfect world essentially makes them realize how hard it would be to do it themselves.
Right.
And the only logical answer is to come to you.
Well, the other
And
thing is basically you want to put marketing that might not be this bold, but it might say only 1 out of 5 agents know what it's like to talk to a buyer who will actually write an offer. You should call me. I'm one of them.
yeah. And one sale in the last month.
Yeah. So
It was
then
ours.
when you take a look at things that have sold, you're talking to sellers a lot of the time. But then on the other side, in a buyer's market, you might also want to talk about buyers so that you get other buyers because they're more valuable
Yeah.
in a buyer's market.
Yeah. And there's always considerations around language of like how you're approaching it. But yeah, if you work primarily with buyers, how you do a case like and you can do this is the nice thing by the way. Case studies work when you're a buyer rep because like one of the advantages of having a listing is you get your sign in the lawn and you get that extra marketing boost where that most people don't think about that with buyers. There are a lot of opportunities with buyers to get that market. And one is like essentially a case study of how you got them the home they wanted.
And how you help them overcome the challenges in that market,
Yeah.
which is which property is good enough to take me off the market, right?
Yeah.
How do I recognize what a good deal is when everything's on the shelf? Oh
And
my
start
goodness, this is
recording
like
it at the
shopping for
beginning.
yeah, this is like shopping at Winners.
Yeah.
We've all found a good deal at Winners, but man, do you need to know how to hunt.
Yeah. And if you're in a hot market, and we've talked about this tactic on here before, like write a letter to every house that's in the neighborhood they want to buy in. And it's like similar how you put a listing out and a sign up, you're sending a letter out. We have a buyer, and you're sending it
Hmm.
to every house in the
So when
neighborhood
I
they want.
just sold a listing, how do I talk to buyers? Like if we were rounding this out against what we were kind of carrying as the storyline, well, really, you want to let buyers know that you're talking to some of the neighbors and you may know of properties that are not yet for
Yeah.
sale. If they missed this one, they should talk to you.
We had neighbors coming through who said they might list. If you're thinking of buying, we can reach out to them and see if they'd be willing to do a deal now. Right? Like that type of messaging of because we had this, this happened, these conversations took place. we can talk to you about it. It's same of like if you're the neighbor's coming to you, you can be like, oh yeah, when we had this up, we actually had two other people who wanted to buy it, but they missed out. They weren't the winning bid. But if you're interested in striking while the iron's hot and they haven't bought another property yet because it's been 6 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is, we could get them through your house when they're in buying mode and just missed out on something they really wanted. So they might be willing to pay a premium so they don't miss out again. And now you're getting in front of sellers with more.
Okay, now I have this like abstract version of this.
Yeah.
Where are they now? So I helped a buyer sell 18 months ago. And if they would have waited for the market to get better, where would they be now?
No.
I had somebody in my market who bought 2 years ago, and based on what's been happening in their neighborhood, they've made this much money.
It works.
One of my favorite calls in real estate was at Christmas time. I did a deal. At the time, it was my largest listing ever. It was about 1.1 million. And if you're not from Edmonton, Alberta, I want you to know that that is not a
It's
900
rare.
square foot apartment. Okay.
No.
That is like this place was over 2,500 square feet in the university area. It was an Enviro built house with like
Yeah.
special windows and 24-inch thick walls. And it was a cool place. And I was so excited to have the
Yeah.
listing. And anyway, but the seller was also quite particular and experienced in selling properties. He had built a few houses and he was a handful and he asked a lot. And I tried to deliver, but we had some great arguments
Yeah.
because he was telling me like he wants me to send a postcard to everybody in the neighborhood to market his listing. And I said, I'm not doing that. And he said, what do you mean? And I took like way too long an email to explain to him that that's something that you do to find listings in that neighborhood. Notice how the realtor's head's really big and all the listings are really small. It's not about you,
Yeah.
right? And the buyer to your neighborhood is statistically unlikely to be from this neighborhood. So that would be a waste of a budget that we need to use to actually help you find a buyer. Why don't you stay in your lane and I'll do my thing? Is
You know what I
the
would say
gist
to
of it.
that if I was that client? So mail it to the neighborhood the buyer's in.
Oh man, why didn't I think of that? So anyway, this guy, we ended up selling his house and he called me and it was probably, I think it might have been not the Christmas. I think it was the Christmas after. It would have been like 18 months later.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey man, I've never said this before to anybody, but the reason I'm calling you is because it's Christmas time and we're talking about our realtor." And I'm like, "Okay, man, well, Merry Christmas."
Part of your tradition.
Yeah, he said we looked online at real estate in where we lived, and some of the listings that we were competing with are still for sale, and it's 18 months later. They said, since you got us out of that build, we ended up going to take another project in Whistler, and we've made so much money on that, and we would have never been able to do it. And we needed out, and it was hard, and you were the guy, and you got it done. And now we talk about our realtor at Christmas.
Uh, Case study.
Yeah.
I'm tomorrow.
And so those things like those are great experiences in real estate where you understand that you know what there's many of us but sometimes you can have like a unique impact.
Yeah, exactly. It's part of the fun.
So now we've
Yeah.
kind of gone through like the life of a listing and that's one thing that I would introduce maybe to the case studies is where are they now? Like if you've been a
Yeah.
realtor for a while and you end up doing some case studies from the past because I just remembered this one and Andrew's right. I should basically pull it up and make it.
Yeah.
And then you could go with where are they now? And you may find some of these stories are fantastic. And you know what else you might find? You might
New
find the
repeat business.
year of the people that bought that would be great to talk to now because they would be less affected by what happened over the last few years.
Yeah, there's also a little bit of if you know people move every 5 to 7 years, schedule like interviews that you might do like this for 4 years after they buy.
Hmm.
Just to like, hey, we're doing a marketing series on like sellers that worked with us, how it's working out for them. Would you mind doing like a 30-minute, 60-minute call with me? We're gonna record it so we can talk about kind of where are you now. what a great rapport building to remind them of the excellent work that you did with them around that time they're statistically thinking about moving to another house.
Totally. And they can talk about how good a fit it was and so on.
Yeah,
And
they're
whether
gonna
or not
sell
they're going to
themselves
move,
on you.
though, right? Like
Yeah,
it's actually really good to have. Imagine you had recorded conversations of people that were telling you the only reason that the only way they're ever leaving this house is feet first on a gurney, right? Like who
yeah,
wants that realtor that's finding those forever homes?
exactly. And you're saving that forever, and it's just great. And then
Yeah,
something they
you
can
might
send to all their
want
friends.
transactional clients, but those people, they use that phrase forever home. That is in your client's voice profile.
Yeah, and that is someone who will refer you a lot. Like
Hmm.
this is a big thing that like a lot of people don't think about on the referral front. Is like people who don't won't do business with you doesn't mean they won't refer you.
Hey, can we
Like,
do that next episode?
yeah,
Can we talk about like soliciting for referrals and referral programs and what we
yeah,
do and how it works and how much money we make and what marketing budget should look like?
yeah, that works for me.
Okay, because I got to definitely put this on my business planning plan. Like, this is one of my valuable problems to solve.
Deal. I
All
got
right.
ideas,
Well,
all the ideas.
we are off to the after show, which means that if you're here on Zoom, you can interact with us. We talk about stuff that, well, there's not much we don't say, but we talk to people like Connie Campbell. She's in the chat right now. And she was right. Most of their sellers think that they would have got more or that they should have got more when they're interviewed
Well,
afterwards.
their house is that special snowflake.
And we're taking Connie with us to the after show where we chat about rando stuff. But if you're on a podcast platform or you're watching this on YouTube, then you can definitely catch us next time. Come in, visit, introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, and be part of this peanut gallery that keeps us going.
Well, thank you, and I'll see you guys next week unless you're here live. And everyone else, bye.